Hey guys, what's up? It's Brian here with the Prairie State Patriots YouTube channel, and today I'm going to do a gear test with the Pathfinder queen size wool blanket. This is an actual queen size blanket. It measures 90 by 96 or 7.5 feet by 8 feet. It is 100% virgin wool, and I picked this up on Reliance Outfitters website a couple of weeks ago. I've been messing around with it at home. I have a thermostat out here that's going to measure the ambient temperature. I think it's currently about 43 degrees. And then I'm going to wet this down and wrap up in it and see how much heat I can actually retain inside the blanket with myself with it being wet. So stay tuned. Now, although this is Pathfinder branded, this blanket is made in the USA by Faribault Mill out of Minnesota. I bought a blanket from Faribault Mill a few months ago. Very nice blanket. Quite a bit more expensive than this, but also quite a bit heavier than this. This blanket weighs in at about 6.2 pounds. That one, I believe, is about 10.2 pounds. Got that high quality H2O. Well, you guys can see that, but quite a bit of that water is actually pooling up on the top of here where it's not going to absorb into the wool, and that's a good thing. That's what it's supposed to do. I'm going to shake this off a little bit, get wrapped up in it, start the experiment. You guys can see I did make myself a small sitting pad in order to reduce the amount of heat lost through convection sitting on the ground. I do have a blanket sandwiched inside of that tarp and then another blanket on top, just to try and eliminate any variables as to how well this blanket that I'm testing retains heat. So what I'm doing here, I'm gonna get wrapped up in this. I'm gonna place this thermometer down in between my legs, but making sure it's not actually touching me, because that will throw off the temperature readings. It'll start picking up my body heat directly. And then I'm gonna set an alarm on my phone, so every 15 minutes, we're gonna check in. I'll give you guys an update and we'll see where it's at. Go ahead and get my shoes kicked off. Now, I am being safe about this, guys. I have other blankets in the truck. I got to change of clothes. I have alternative heat sources if need be. I'm not going to catch hypothermia, which is really what this whole test is about. A lot of people don't realize that with the right combination of wind and rain, you can get hypothermia well into the 50-degree range, possibly higher. You guys ever heard the old saying, I bet you're about as fun as a wet blanket? I get it. May not have left myself quite enough slack. There we go. They're all closed in. It's gonna be a long hour. I can definitely tell you, not all the water beaded off of here. It definitely seeped through. I can feel it. Mostly on my arms, a little bit on my feet. Not so much on my legs, but my pants are also moisture wicking, so there's that. But I did a little testing at the house, just wrapped up in my living room, and I was able to get it about 14 degrees warmer inside the blanket than the ambient temperature in my house. But that was in more of a controlled environment. So I wanted to do this, and I wanted to test it with water because, you know, people always rave about the insulating properties of wool once it gets wet. So I figured I would try this out, and the temperature is probably going to rise slightly once the sun starts coming over the trees. I'm going to take an ambient temperature measurement again at the end of this after I finish about an hour in here, and we will compare that to where we started and just deduct that amount off of whatever the temperature increase inside of the blanket is. I'm going to cut the camera off, and I'll be back with you guys in about 15 minutes. Well, it's only been a few minutes, and I can already tell you guys I can feel myself getting warmer. My hands were starting to get a little too cold, starting to shake a little bit, and they feel pretty nice right now. My socks ended up picking up a little bit of water that was dumped onto this blanket, so they're still wet, but my feet are not cold currently. I would like to show you guys, I do have a foot box. Essentially, I've got the end of the blanket folded under, so that end is closed, but I can't exactly move the camera with my arms wrapped up in here. Now, thankfully, whenever I do check the temperature on that thermometer, it's a slow read, so me opening the blanket just enough to reach it and pull it out shouldn't affect it too much. I should still be able to retain all the heat down by my legs where the thermometer is. That is something that I also experimented with whenever I was doing this at the house. I wanted to give you guys a big fancy explanation as to why wool does what it does and why it's good for insulation and use for outdoor activities and such. But quite frankly, if you look on the Reliance Outfitters website, they have a much better explanation than what I would be able to put together, and I didn't want to rip off their whole monologue. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form. I've never even met any of those people in person. I just do like their gear, and I think for the price point, this blanket is a fantastic value, but we'll go over that at the end of the video. Well, there's our first interval. Let's see what the temp's looking like. "52 degrees with 80% humidity, which is to be expected, seeing as how this blanket's covered in water. But guys, think about that. I started out at 43, and then it was probably about 17 minutes because I forgot to start the timer right away. But in 17 minutes, I gained 9 degrees. So I'm going to reset this timer and check it again in another 15 minutes, and we will see where we're at. So I'm coming up on my next interval here, guys, and I'm going to be honest. I'm getting comfortable enough. I almost dozed off for a minute. Feeling pretty warm. Blanket's still pretty damp, but I mean, I can't tell how much water is still sitting in it just because my clothes are wet underneath. But I'm gonna check the clock, see where we're at. I got about a minute left. We'll go ahead and check it out, see where we're at. So this is 30 minutes in, roughly. We are currently at 55 degrees with 78% humidity. So we're looking at a 12-degree increase in a half an hour. And that's without any external heat sources, no fire, no nothing like that. This is just body heat. So I'm gonna get this timer set, and we will check back in another 15 minutes, see where we're at. Knew that was gonna happen. I told you guys, pretty comfy. So we're 45 minutes in. We actually dropped a little bit. We're at 53.8 and back up to 80% humidity. So I'm wondering if the ambient temperature's dropped, but we will find out after one more 15-minute interval. I'm gonna get right back up and see if I can continue my nap. Well, I didn't get to continue my nap, but that puts us at 1 hour. So let's see where we're at. %81% humidity, and we held at 53.8. So 1 hour wrapped up in this wool blanket without any sort of external heat source. We're able to achieve, what was it, a 12-degree increase, I believe, but maintain a 10-degree increase just off of trapped body heat. So I'm going to set this up in the tree to measure the outside temperature while I'm packing up my stuff, and then I'll get back on the camera and we'll go from there, guys. Alright guys, so I got everything packed up, checked the thermometer again. We're at 44 degrees with 30% humidity. So I think it's fair to say we were able to achieve a 12-degree increase, and with the slight increase in the ambient temperature, I would say we held a 9-degree increase inside the blanket, even though it was wet. Now, I didn't get a shot of it because I'd already started putting stuff away, but whenever I got up, there was actually a significant amount of water sitting on my tarp where it was coming off of the blanket instead of being reabsorbed, even though I was laying on top of it. So I want to talk about some quick couple of pros and cons with these blankets. Pro, obviously, it retains a lot of its insulative value when wet, and it's quite comfortable. One of the biggest cons is going to be the price. Now, if you own any sort of high quality wool blankets, you'll know that this isn't that bad. Currently, as of the recording of this video, it's February 4th, 2024, these sell on the Self-Reliance Outfitters website for $195. I know that is out of many people's price range, especially when you look at blankets on Amazon, and you'll see them for $30 to $75, $80. And some of those aren't bad, but I own both. I have several wool blankets. I can tell you there is a noticeable difference in quality when you start looking at higher priced blankets. Most notably, they are a lot more comfortable. They're not itchy, they're not scratchy. They don't have a chemical smell out of the package, which if you've bought cheap wool blankets, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That smell never really goes away. It just dulls over time and you kind of get used to it. That being said, once I wet this blanket earlier, it immediately kind of had a wet dog smell to it, but it's not overpowering. Like wrapped up in it, I could notice it, but after a few minutes, I didn't really pay too much mind. You know, I mentioned earlier that I did buy a very nice blanket directly from Faribault Mill recently. It is a heavier blanket. It's still a queen size, but it's much thicker. It's their Frontier model. I think I paid between $350 and $400 for that one. And I mean, once again, noticeable difference between that and the Pathfinder blanket. But my point is, for that price point, for a true queen size wool blanket, the Pathfinder blanket is one hell of a deal. I'm going to say this again, I am in no way, shape, or form affiliated with that company or anybody associated with that company. I just appreciate their products. I've never bought anything from them that I thought was low quality or didn't enjoy using, so I recommend them to all my friends. Now currently, this blanket is available in OD green, which is obviously what I had, or tan, and as I mentioned, it is a true queen. Many times, places like Amazon, when you're shopping for wool blankets, they will advertise those blankets as being a queen size when they're not. You'll actually lose about 2.5 to 3 feet of blanket from what an actual queen size is. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. If you saw a flaw in the way that I was conducting my testing, please feel free to let me know. If it's something that I can figure out, then I will happily redo this another time to get a more accurate test, or to possibly test something you guys want to know about the blanket. Now, I did think about doing like a candle, some sort of external heat source, to see how much that could trap. I'm going to save that for another time. I strictly wanted to test how this worked being wet, and I think it turned out pretty good, so I would highly recommend this to anyone who can afford it. If you're looking into getting a nice blanket for outdoor use, or if you're getting into bushcraft or camping or whatever, or you just want to have a nice one you keep in the truck for emergencies, if you're looking at wool, I highly recommend the Pathfinder blanket. I'm pretty happy with my purchase. Like I said, it is 100% virgin wool. It is made in the USA, in Faribault mill in Minnesota. And I'm going to put a link down below to this blanket, just so you guys can go and read their description of all the benefits of wool blankets. As I said, it's laid out better there than what I could have said on camera, and I didn't want to rip off their whole monologue that they had put on there, because that's stealing and I don't steal. But like I said, if you guys like this, please give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. If you'd like to see more content like this, or gun videos, or knife videos, or probably more lockpicking videos at some point, because I have 1,000,001 hobbies that I like to make videos about, hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this, you thought something good come of this, please share this. And if you know someone that's interested in one of these blankets but is nervous about pulling the trigger, because that is a lot of money, send this video their way so they can make an informed decision. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I hope to see you in videos in the future. Thank you very much.